busy. Sorry, I've just been super busy, as you can imagine. I'm going to do the labor and delivery story finally. The baby is actually a month and 2 days today, so it's a little overdue. Okay, so going back to October 14th. That day I went in for my routine NST that I always have to do, and I was doing them for gestational diabetes. I went in that day and had the NST, and I had texted my husband that day from the hospital. I said, I'm so glad I don't have to stay today because this place is so busy. I mean, that place was a madhouse. I swear every woman in LA was delivering. Just like on the day that I had London, it's so funny. It's the same thing. I waited in the waiting room forever because they didn't have a room for me for the NST. And then as soon as I was done with the NST, I was like rushed out of there so I could put another person in. While I was in the waiting room, there was tons of family, tons of women in labor waiting to get a room. So it was really busy at the hospital that day. So I had the NST, I come home, nothing dramatic happened. The NST went perfect that day. Oh no, it did not go perfect. Actually, I had to have an ultrasound. So they sent me downstairs for the ultrasound, which was routine. The NST was fine, but they want to do an ultrasound to check the growth and stuff like they always do all the time. So I went downstairs to do the ultrasound. And it was a 30-minute exam because they were waiting to get movement. Now usually she moves right away and they are satisfied with that, but this time she did not move until like the last minute, and that wasn't even technically a good movement, but they were like, you know, it's good enough, that's fine. And it's because they were so busy. I believe if they weren't as busy as they were, they probably would have kept me. But I was happy to go home anyway. So I get home, I'm chilling, nothing major, don't feel much. I always have the Braxton Hicks, so that's no big deal. And it was about 6:30, I'm watching the Astros game, and I'm going to lay down on my left side, and I started to feel like I was peeing on myself. And then like a second later I realized, oh no, it's my water, because it was like non-stop, like a faucet. Like I can't even describe how much water was coming. And this is the first time my water had ever broke. Normally the doctor breaks my water, so I had no idea what to expect if it ever broke on its own. And it was crazy. I've heard some women say that they have like a trickle and then it'll stop, and then some women say they don't even know that their water broke, but mine was obvious and it was everywhere. So I called out for Lamar. I just said, my water broke. And he comes in and he was a little nervous. He thought the baby was actually going to come. He was like, is the baby coming? And I was like, no, you know, my water broke. I had no contractions, nothing like that, just that. So I called my older daughter so she can come get London. In the meantime, I just changed and got ready. Lamar ran around getting the bags, getting stuff that we needed, because the baby was going to go, well, London was going to go from my older daughter to daycare the next day. So he had to make sure he had everything. My bag was already packed for the hospital, so that was good. The diaper bag was already packed for the hospital. So we just needed some stuff for London. So she came quickly, and we handed her off, and then we went to the hospital. Now remember, I told you guys how busy it was at the hospital. So we get there, and contractions hadn't started again. I wasn't uncomfortable or anything like that. So we get there, and we sign in, and they put me in the waiting room. And we waited there for probably an hour. And I started to get nervous towards the very end, because I was like, oh no, if these contractions start, I'm going to have to go to a different hospital, because I don't do well with pain. I want the epidural. As soon as I feel pain, I can't handle it. So I started to get a little bit nervous. I think I even said to Lamar, I'll go to the other hospital if they don't call us back soon. So he actually went out and went to the receptionist and said, hey, did you forget about us? And she's like, no. But I knew from being there earlier that it was crazy busy, so I knew it was going to be a wait. Just when we were about to lose patience, the nurse comes and says, you know, come on, I got your room ready. So, thank goodness. As soon as I got in the room, the contractions started pick up. They weren't bad, but I could start to feel them. She, God, what time is it? It must have been about 7:30, 8 o'clock by the time we got into the room. So I got in my gown and everything, and she checked me, and I believe I was 3 to 4, nothing fantastic. I was hoping to be like 6 to 7. So I don't think I was, let's see, I wasn't uncomfortable enough at that time to get the epidural, but she had told me that they were so busy, I better, you know, get it sooner rather than later. So I was like, yeah, okay, you know, call him, then he can do it. I don't want to wait until, you know, he's really busy with somebody else or a C-section and then ask for it and then have to wait. So she called the anesthesiologist. She did all my IVs, drew blood, asked me 100 million questions, and then we just waited. I think about maybe 30, 45 minutes into the wait, Lamar's family showed up. His mother and my sister-in-law showed up at the hospital. They stayed for the whole birth. And then maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes into them coming, the anesthesiologist came in, so they had to go out for me to get the epidural. And by then I was in pain. The contractions picked up, they picked up quick, and it was not good. I was still gushing out a lot of water, so they had to constantly put chucks underneath me because it was just a ton of water. Every time I had a contraction, it was all over. And for me, that was like really uncomfortable. Every time it would happen, I was like, no, change the chuck. A chuck is like a little paper towel they put underneath you. So got the epidural, 100% better. This epidural was even better than the first epidural I had with London. I mean, I was numb in the place where I needed to be numb. I didn't feel anything, but I didn't feel paralyzed either. So I could still feel the pressure, but zero pain. It was a really, really good epidural. So my sister-in-law, mother-in-law came back in, and that was that. I just kind of just stayed in labor. I was on Facebook. I was texting. I wasn't uncomfortable at all. And then at about 11:30, I want to say, yeah, I could feel the pressure to push. I could feel her like slip down there. Now I was trying to wait until for 10:15. The date, October 15th. It was October 14th that day. But when I felt her come down, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to wait. So at that point they started. I didn't tell anybody I felt that. They started coming in and setting up everything for the delivery. They got the crib out. They got the surgical table out. The surgical techs came in, did their thing. The baby nurse came in, you know, everybody was getting ready. And then I felt another gush of water. So I said to one of the surgical techs, I said, when you please tell Casey was my nurse, that I can feel her down there. So I assumed that they went and got her because she came in pretty quickly. And then she says, I was going to check you, but I can see the baby's head, so there's no point of even checking you. And then she took my husband to the to the end of the bed and said, you want to see the head? And showed him the head. And it was time to go. So we just, my doctor unfortunately was on vacation. So they brought in the on-call doctor. It was nice, you know, I didn't really care at that point who delivered me. And Casey asked me, did I want to do a practice push? I said, I'll do it, but trust me, I don't need to. I'm an excellent pusher, and she's down there. So we didn't even end up doing the practice push. She just got the doctor came in. I don't even know how many pushes it took this time. Maybe 3. It couldn't have been more than 3. I was going to ask my husband, but he disappeared. I think it was 3 pushes. My husband was there, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. My husband stayed towards my legs, and my sister-in-law stayed up by my head. And on the 3rd push, she was out. No problem. I had just a little bit of a tear this time, and I think because it went so fast. I think if the doctor would have had me slow down, and the birth would have took a little bit longer, but to me it would have been worth it not to have stitches. But I don't know, nowadays they don't really take their time. I guess if you want that sort of thing, you have to have like a midwife at a like a birthing center or something, but you know, they're more interested in getting the baby out and getting to the next person. But that's okay. It was just a small tear. She was out. She weighed 7 pounds 2 ounces, 19 inches long. As cute as she can be. And this was at 11:50. So my water broke at 7:30. I think at like 7:32. And she was born at 11:50. So that was nothing. I mean, I'm really blessed to have such easy births. The birth was just like London's, almost identical, like 5 hours, and it was done. And it was good. Her name is, most of you already know, but her name is Lauren Savannah. If you want to see pictures of her, they're on Instagram. I will insert a picture of her today. She's sleeping right now, and we never awake a sleeping baby. So I will go take a picture right now and insert it so you can see what she looks like at a month old. And then if you want to see newborn pictures or anything like that, follow me on Instagram. I'll leave the link below. I post more pictures on Instagram than I do Facebook. There are some on Facebook, but I put more on Instagram, so you can go check those out. I'm also going to do our 1 month update too, and then I'm going to do a video about having 2 under 2. So if you have questions or anything like that, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. Friend me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Yeah, tell him, London.